And welcome to the Under the Best podcast. I'm your host, Merge. I'm here with Clayton. What's up, Clayton?
What's up?
All right. And just a reminder, if you want to listen to the podcast, you can listen on iTunes, on SoundCloud, on Stitcher, and on Google Play Music. So go follow us on there. Rate and review us on iTunes if you enjoy the podcast. And all right, let's go from there. So to sort of wrap up the regular season, we wanted to talk about the Lakers as a whole, where every player on the roster stands, what we think they can improve on, and what we expect for them going into next year. And we'll also finish it off by talking about Magic and Pelinka and Luke Walton. So let's start with the bottom. We'll start from the bottom. We'll go for the top. We're going off of games played on Basketball Reference, so there's gonna be a lot of familiar, a lot of happy faces here that we'll talk about. Let's start with the who knows if he's alive, but Luol Deng. He played one game today. He played one game this season, and it was game one of the. It was game one of the regular season against the Clippers. I remember
DNP collecting them checks.
That's what the official word on him was.
Yeah, collecting them checks, man.
That made sense. He's probably just laughing he's probably in a group message with Joakim Noah and Evan Turner and Timothy Mozgov, and they just laugh about how much money they have.
At least Turner plays.
Yeah, I mean the other three just aren't playing. Joakim Noah is like Hornacek hated him. They hated each other.
I mean, well,
former Knicks coach Jeff Hornacek said, Mark Jackson's going to come in.
No blows anyways, but
Mark Jackson or Kenny Smith's going to come in. They're going to give him a nice 15 to 20 minutes a game. It'll all be good in Nickland. Anyway, what do you do? Is he on a roster the game one next season? In your opinion?
I say if
on the books. It's on the books next season.
Well, he's going to be on the books no matter what, unless they somehow find a way to completely dump him, and I don't see that. I say that he will be on the roster because I don't think they get two max guys.
Right, I agree with that.
So there's no point in just stretching him when they can just wait another year and then try and dump him the following summer. It'll be 1 year left. You could attach a minor asset like their first round draft pick. I think that pick is probably going to be a minor asset if the summer goes exactly how I think it will. I don't know. I don't think he's going to be moved or stretched because there's just no real point to it.
I think there's sort of not a general feeling, but there's a good chunk of Laker fans that feel like this Cavs pick more likely than not is going to be attached to Luol Deng and traded. I think the Lakers are gonna sort of prioritize the draft pick pretty highly. Two, I think a 25th pick might not be able to get you'd be able to dump Luol Deng. I mean, it could. You never know.
You're not dumping Luol Deng for a single pick.
Unless
you're still going to have to attach more.
Unless a team is like completely withdrawn and they'll take anything. They'll take any pick. And I can't think of a team that really needs that, right? I mean,
no, and not that has the cap space for it,
right?
So like you would have to probably bring some salary back, which depending on the degree of that wouldn't be that big of a deal, but you're going to have to attach more to it.
I think prediction. I think he gets traded next trade deadline. I should say by next trade deadline. I think they'll figure out a way by then, but I think he's on a roster on opening day.
Yeah.
The next two are blips on the radar. Derek Williams and Nigel Hayes. I kind of wish Nigel Hayes was the 2-way and he wasn't the 10-day contract guy because we definitely could have used them in those last 10 games of the season. But I mean, it was the other way around. He didn't really show anything. It is what it is. Derek Williams was really bad. There's no need for that. Any comments on those two?
Yeah, Nigel Hayes was bad up up in the NBA, and
apparently he did well for the a team signed him. Then
he played 6 minutes for the Raptors.
Okay,
so
okay, it must be the Kings then.
The Kings, he shot 28% and
never mind.
17%.
I could have sworn a team signed him to like a non-guaranteed deal or something like that. I don't know.
I mean, like the Kings should see if the G League stuff does translate. Derek Williams, people got excited hilariously about him
just because he's sort of athletic.
Yeah, he's athletic, so it's really interesting. No, he's not. He's never been interesting.
He hasn't been interesting since there.
Yeah, he hasn't been interesting since what, 2010?
Since he was on the T-Wolves.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know if I would say he was. Or yeah, well, I guess that was when he was a rookie. I forgot.
Yeah, he was drafted by the T-Wolves, number 2.
Yep. So yeah, he hasn't been interesting since then. He's been crap. He was crap in Sacramento. He was crap with the Knicks.
He was on the Hornets as well. He was on the Cavs.
Was he on the Hornets? I
don't see. For like half a season, he was on the Hornets. Or he had like some crazy dunk against the Hornets.
It was a crazy dunk, apparently, because it was Minnesota, Sacramento, the Knicks, Cleveland, Miami, and LA. So he was just whatever. It was a weird pickup. He's not very good.
Yeah, it was right. It was around when everyone was getting hurt at the same time, and the Lakers was like, "Oh, let's get a wing." And
he's not a wing. He's a true 4 now. And Nigel Hayes, yeah, I mean, he was interesting. His G League numbers were really good, but he's just kind of he never showed. So the fact that they didn't even sign him to a second 10-day just shows that like he wasn't even performing
right
in practice, in my opinion.
Right. Anyway, moving on to the most important player on this roster.
Sign him to the max.
Of course, we're talking about the GOAT, the best Ingram in the league, the best Ingram on the Lakers, the best Ingram in any sport platform. Andre Ingram. Obviously, we're joking, but it's just a really cool thing to happen. I had a lot of fun, especially the game against the Rockets. That was a lot of fun to watch. I'm surprised no one has called him up before because he just has a absolute shot. It's a weird shot, but it's a shot. I mean, his career numbers in the G League are insane from shooting the ball wise. It was nothing more than a feel good story. Maybe he makes it on the Las Vegas Summer League roster. Maybe he makes it as like the 20th invite, the 20th person on the preseason roster. I don't see anything other than that, but it was a cool moment. It was a cool thing for Robin Magic to do, to sort of congratulate a guy who's been sort of not really struggling, but he's been in the G League. Or the G League changed its name 3 times when he was in it. Like he's been there for a long time.
It's funny. I'm actually fine bringing him in for camp. I've seen people say him for summer league. I doubt he would do that.
He said whatever they offer, he'd take. That's what he said.
Interesting.
He said he'd play in the summer league if he needs to.
I mean, honestly, like get him paid. He's done.
Yeah, he needs some money. He needs some money, man. The G League has upped its I think its max potential salary for
it's like
up guys.
To 85,000 or something like that.
That's the max. I think the minimum is 35 now.
Yeah, which is
still that's less than a teacher salary. Can you attribute to that?
Yeah. They get paid 35,000 in 5 months, so they make a lot more per month.
Yeah.
But yeah.
That's why he teaches. He's a tutor, an online tutor.
Yeah.
It was an awesome story. But
if he could continue to hit, what did he?
55.
He's not shooting 56% from 3. I mean, but honestly, like if you could just come off the bench and just provide some shooting, like as the 15th man, I'm the one that always says that stuff like this, is not smart or whatever. But I mean,
in that case, I'd still rather have Matt Thomas.
Oh no, 100% agree. If it's between the two, I'm taking Matt Thomas, the god. But I mean, have you seen his
EuroLeague legend?
That dude deserves it. He is clearly the EuroLeague MVP.
Luka who?
Exactly. But I would have a problem bringing in Ingram if if they had,
if the other 14 guys are.
yeah. I mean, again, like I'm only thinking this. Like, if it was up to me, yeah, I'd rather have a Matt Thomas. I'd rather have like oh crap. Yeah, or even
Travis Ware,
PJ
Harrison.
No,
PJ Brown.
No, the dude wasn't it PJ, the guy that we had in summer league who's now with Dallas on a 2-way, I think.
Oh, Dozier, PJ Dozier.
Yeah, there you go. I'd rather have a guy like him. But Lakers have historically had like one of these just random old dudes on the roster.
Shout out to Meta World Peace, aka Ron Artest.
Yeah. I mean, this
shout
year,
out to Ejon Leon.
Yeah, this year they had Andrew Bogut, who actually played some.
Yeah.
So yeah, in that context, and like they're not going to bring in like a potential high ceiling, not as in like a super high pick, but like just a high,
like a Derrick Jones Jr., PJ Dozier type of guy.
Exactly. If they're not going to bring in one of those guys, then I'd have no problem bringing him in. People had fun with it. He shot obviously well. It was
his first game. Yeah,
it was fun. So I wouldn't have a huge issue with it.
Right, me neither.
Whatever.
I want
to be mad. I think it'd be cool for him, but other than that, whatever.
Yeah, moving on. Vanderblue, he was useless. I mean,
that was the dumbest use of a 2-way.
I mean, there were so many other guys we could have gotten. I mean,
so dumb. That was rewarding him, and everyone knew that's what he was. Except unless,
why not just give Matt Thomas that? I mean,
yep. I mean, apparently he turned that down.
Matt Thomas?
Yeah, apparently he turned that down.
Something else. I don't know.
Yeah, I know. It was stupid. Try and get Antonio Blakeney. That would have been wonderful.
Oh my God, Blakeney.
But whatever.
He put like 37 points per game in the G League.
Yeah, I would not even offer Vanderblue a summer league invite.
No, neither would I. Moving on, Channing Frye.
I would have no problem bringing him back.
I think he will be back. I think that not really a bold prediction, but I think he'll be back. I think
it's between Frye and Brooke. And
really, you think it's one or the other?
Because
I guess because TB and
and if possibly, depending on what they do with Zoo,
and maybe they draft another big guy.
Exactly. So I think it's one or the other. I would honestly rather have Brooke.
Yeah, me too.
Obviously, that said, bringing in Frye would be good. He seemed to have clicked with the young guys. He's still a pretty decent player. So
yeah, I think he had. It was a very, very small sample size, but his defensive numbers weren't bad. Like his advanced.
He wasn't. He wasn't
good, but he was
a typical older guy where
he was a smart defender
in the right spot.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, yeah, I wouldn't mind having him back either. It wouldn't make sense because of Luke and his relationship, but. Yeah. Moving on, Gary Payton II. He had a really good final game. He had a really good final game. He was and running numbers. He had decent running numbers in the G League as well. I know the advanced analytic community says
not like him.
He has not been good in anywhere ever.
I
think he's a summer league invite. I think he's nothing else than that. No.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. I still think if he could somehow develop a shot, he'd be worth it. But I don't think
if he somehow could, but I don't see it happening.
I don't think it's coming. So I'd have no problem moving on.
Next person is Thomas Bryant. He was awesome in the G League. He was really awesome in the G League. He was I think it was runner-up G League MVP, wasn't he? Or
something like that.
Yeah. And he was like runner. He was like the second best G League player according to a lot of G League people, behind Antonio Blakeney, who again put up 37 a game in the G League. He showed his shot in the G League. He showed some rim protection down there. He was like insanely efficient around the rim. He was the best in the G League at finishing around the rim.
Yeah, he did tail off, I think, near the end of the year.
Yeah, because he started the year from 3 at like 45%, and he ended at like 37.
Yeah, but the skills he showed were very, very fun.
Yeah, sure.
And I think that next year that they should look into giving him.
I think he gets 10 to 15 minutes next year.
Yeah, that's exactly what I think that they should give him next year. He's going to have to take his lumps, but I mean he's only 20. He'll be 21. What is it? I think he will turn 21 at the end of July. So he's still really young. There's plenty of guys that are going to be drafted in June that are actually older than him.
Yeah.
So I would have no problem like giving him decent rotation minutes, as in 10 to 15.
Yeah, I think he has
to earn them.
Oh yeah, he has to earn them, but I think
yeah,
he's talked about already in his exit interviews. He said that he really wants to work on being able to move on defend, like move his feet a lot more. He wants to be able to chase guys on like switches and be able to hold his own, which is encouraging. He needs to go and see Julius's guy.
Because there's a video when they gave Ingram the game ball.
Mm-hmm.
Bryant had his shirt off and he looked like a typical 20-year-old. He had baby fat on him, so he does need to go see Julius's guy.
Or Victor Oladipo's guy, one or the other. They showed a picture of Victor Oladipo in today's game, and like from 1 week, from like one day, and then like 3 weeks later, he was like absolutely ripped during the summer. Go see one of those guys.
He also should find out what the Indiana Pacers did with Miles Turner running. Because he's got a bit of a funky running gait. So
I love when he runs, because he kind of runs like Russell Westbrook when he like has his arms out.
Yeah.
He's like running down the court with his arms just like really wide.
Yeah, well, I mean, it helps that his arms are so long that they're probably catching some wind.
Yeah, he's definitely drifting.
No,
yeah, like I said, it was a really nice G League season from him, and he didn't really get a chance to show much on the NBA level.
Mm-mm.
I don't think he had
he really should have.
Yeah, but I mean, he wasn't.
They did want to see what they had
left defender than Zubac. Or a lot of like Ben Rosales, Peter Zayas both said that he needs a lot of work on defense.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And like Zubac was like, he wasn't. If he looked like at a similar level as Zubac, I'm pretty sure he would have played, because he offered a lot more. But hopefully, I mean, there's a lot to like about him. We can both go on and on about him. We both love him, and I expect him to be 10 to 15 minutes as a backup center. And to spell Julius or Brooke or whoever we have there.
I concur.
Moving on, Travis Ware, he was solid. He kind of tailed off at the last like 10 for 5 to 10 games, which I really don't know to take from that. I think there's a chance he's on the roster next year. I'm gonna say he's at the very least he's a training camp invite.
I agree. He shot 36% from 3. And like you said, it kind of tailed off. I think it was just because it was one of the longer seasons he's ever had too. So I mean, again, it would be kind of like an Ingram thing. I wouldn't hate it. I wouldn't exactly love it.
He's better than Ingram. I will say.
Yeah, no, for sure.
He's definitely better than Andre Ingram,
but
I wouldn't hate him as a 14th, 15th guy.
Exactly. I said that 2-3 weeks ago. So yeah, I have no problem with him at the very back end.
Yeah, me either.
What I don't want to do with him is make him a 2-way.
No, that would be a waste of a 2-way. Because we know what he is. He's not gonna get any better.
Yep.
Like I think Caruso could get better. But moving on to one of the more polarizing figures this offseason for Lakers, Isaiah Thomas. He was okay. He was okay with the Lakers. he kind of showed the type of player that we'd like to see next to Lonzo. I think you can find that type of player though. At any that in a lot of different places. You find in the draft, you can find in free agency. It was nice. It was nice nice to see Lonzo and other guys with sort of a star, a guy who carried himself,
at least a star personality,
and a guy who carried himself as a star.
Star personality, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, like on the court, he still thought he was Boston Isaiah Thomas, and he was playing like he was Boston Isaiah Thomas.
Yeah,
not the numbers, but he held himself like that. I don't think he's back. The only situation I see him back is the 1 year below MLE contract.
Yeah, I have no real desire to bring him back. The two scenarios where I could see it is excuse me, they flame out in free agency and they just kind of have to turn back to him, or they think that he's going to influence people and bring him back like on an MLE.
I mean, from what I've heard, he was really good with the young guys.
Yeah, but I don't think his play really justified him being back. No. I mean, people were trying to act like he was some really good. Like he had a couple good games in his 17 games with LA, but overall he shot 38% from the field, 32% from three. He did shoot a great 92% from the free throw line, but other than that, I mean, yeah, good luck in like Charlotte or something.
Yeah. Moving on, Andrew Bogut. I mean, he was Andrew Bogut.
I was surprised he actually didn't go into find a team to latch onto, but I think
I thought a team like the Rockets or like the Cavs would get him back just to try to get the Warriors sequence.
I think I saw something about his wife had a baby or something like that. So I'm not 100% on that. So if that's the case, then I hope for a good birth, obviously.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's obviously not going to be back.
No. He is well past his years. So
yeah, he's only 33, which is amazing to me.
I know that's crazy.
He feels like he's 43.
Yeah, he was drafted what, 04 or 05, something like that. He was drafted a year or two after LeBron. But moving on, Alex Caruso, the first two-way guy for Lakers. He was really, really good. His numbers were really good in the G League. He
made second team All G League.
Yeah, he shot the ball really well down there. He was a great defender. I think he won. I don't know if it was the G League Defensive Player of the Year or like one of the G League published one of those G League explanations or something like that. Had him as the Defensive Player of the Year because I mean, whenever I watched him down there, he was really good. Yeah, he was really good down there.
He was really good in the NBA too, according to like HP Basketball. I mean, I didn't see anything after I saw that tweet from HP, but
no,
watching him, he was pretty darn good.
Yeah,
so
even Kranjis said like a week or two ago that he was actually really solid for a bench guy on defense.
His D rating on B-ball reference is 109, but like I never know how to take B-ball references rating like KCP has a one for 108, but on NBA.com it was 106. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I would have no problem with him going in as at least the third backup point guard.
Yeah, I think
the third point guard.
I think he comes back as at the very least a two. I think he's back on the roster next year.
Yeah, I honestly would give him a roster spot. I
think a guy something like that.
Yeah, I would. Would you prefer to find a better backup point guard? Yes. Would I also be?
He needs to be like a backup plan if you don't find a better backup.
Yeah. And I have no problem with bringing him in as the backup. Honestly, he's better than Ennis. He's better than quite a few other backup point guards. So,
is he better than Ennis in April though?
Oh, good point.
I don't think anyone is.
If Ennis gets another NBA contract from the last couple games, I swear to God.
If he even gets a G League contract, for being honest,
he should
be
go
in
have
China,
fun. Yeah, or Japan.
whatever. He can go have fun somewhere else. While he blocks people on Twitter.
Yeah.
Moving on, Larry Nance Jr. Obviously, we traded him away. He had a solid game today for the Cavs.
R.I.P.
R.I.P. He's gonna be he'll be a solid player for his whole career, and I still would do that trade 9 times or 10 times out of 10 every single time I'd do that trade. I was sad to see him go because he was such a likable guy and he actually helped the Lakers out on both ends a little bit, but I'm happy we chose Julius over him, to say the least.
Yep. I feel bad for Zubac because he lost his dad.
Speaking of Zubac, he's the very next person on this list. Disappointing season from Zubac. Disappointing totally from the very beginning. After hearing him say that he didn't come into the offseason, come into Summer League prepared, it kind of turned me off. I mean, people I've heard people say like, "Oh, I mean, don't get on the kid like that because he's only 20 and he didn't really know." But I just don't like the lack of work ethic like that. If you're hungry to be better and you want to show the team that you're better, especially after they drafted a center, that's another thing. They drafted a guy who is your position, who does things that you don't do. Yeah. Once you want to come into the summer league just ready to go, like just
no, he'd rather take pictures with his model girlfriend. Well, I do understand that, like, yeah, he probably thought like he had a really good rookie year, so he probably assumed that because he did lose weight.
He did. He also lost his strength.
Yeah, exactly. So I would have no problem bringing him back. That said, if I could move him for another second-round pick or use him with the Denver pick to move higher up into the second or even the late first, I don't know if that gets you into the late first. Probably just the early second.
Unless the team is crazy high on him. But
yeah, I would do that. I mean, I don't if who's Atlanta's coach?
Bud.
If Bud actually goes to Phoenix, like they're talking, I would try and see if Atlanta would be like, hey, you've got a couple late seconds or a late first and a early second. How about a mid second and Zubats? I would see if they could do something like that.
Man, the Bucks need to hurry if they want to hire Bud, because I heard Bud wants to go there, and I'd be running towards getting him part of the Bucks because their coaching has been atrocious. It's been bad. Did you see Sam Vecini? This is off topic a little bit, but Sam Vecini tweeted about they had a front court lineup yesterday of Giannis, Jabari, and John Henson.
Oh Lord.
I think with Tony Snell as well, and Bledsoe, like that's, you have no spacing there.
No,
that's like really bad. And that was with a lineup of Yabu, who I hold dearly to my heart, and Greg Monroe. It goes small and run them off the court. Like you got to be able to figure that out. Anyway, Bucks rant aside, I think he's gone. I think they're going to trade him, but that's just my opinion. I wouldn't be surprised if he was back either way. I just was turned off of what I saw from him this season.
Yeah, I don't like sounding like Byron Scott, but he was soft.
He was, and there was a lot of times where he should have dunked a ball and he went for a layup and he got swatted.
Yep. I mean, I've never been the biggest fan of Zubats. I grew to like him more, and then this year. His stands still stand hard for him, calling him Kareem, like pretty much Kareem. But
all the Lakers former centers rolled into one. Moving on to our number 2 overall pick, Lonzo Ball. His season was shortened by injuries. Thank you, Marco Nunez. So what was your overall?
It is weird that he only played 53 games.
Yeah, he had 3 injuries.
52.
He had that shoulder injury, he had that ankle injury, and then he had the the knee injury, which I still think he probably could have played the next game anyway. But what was your overall takeaway? Or give me a grade. What would your grade be for Lonzo?
A B minus.
A B minus.
Because like his defense was excellent. I mean, honestly, I've seen a couple of people say that he should be considered for all NBA defense. Maybe not first team, but second team or something like that.
I've seen people have him on their second team.
Yeah. But his offense was, I mean, as Vicini and our good friend Cole Zwicker said, they talked about his shooting, and it's a legit concern. He shot 36% from the field and 30% from three, with 45% from the free throw line. So all of those are a concern. And he's never been a particularly great free throw shooter anyways.
He needs to fix that thing, man.
So yeah, he needs a real skills coach, not some cousin or some homie, just not someone that he's friends with or is part of his crew. He needs a legit skills coach.
Yeah, he needs to go to Clinton Parks or something like that.
Or
Drew Hanlon. Yeah, he needs to do something like that. He just needs to learn some basic skills because he does not have them right now. It's really weird with him. We talked about this before on a previous podcast, but he lacks some really basic skills, and then he has some very complex skills. Like his basketball IQ. I always bring this up when I talk about Lonzo. I think he's one of the smartest guys in the NBA.
Yep,
on the court.
Yep.
And I mean, like he might be near LeBron, Chris Paul levels of basketball IQ. Like he's ridiculously smart on the court. That being said, he doesn't know how to. He doesn't know how to drive and stop. Like he doesn't know how to stop and go, or he doesn't know how to go to the basket and then hop step, and then he doesn't know those really basic things that I would think most basketball players would know. But like I'm more optimistic because I think the stuff he needs to learn
I think
learnable.
I think he will be just fine.
Yeah.
The question is what is fine?
No, I know. I think the things that he is bad at are learnable. I think that are maybe not to the point where he'll become elite.
He's shown the ability to shoot from three in the past, and he had some insane stretches during the year. I think that will be fine. My thing is
the shooting. The 3-point shooting is not what I'm worried about. I'm worried about the in between.
The rest of the other stuff.
Yeah. I'm worried about his
floaters. He needs to be able to finish. He needs to be able to shoot at the free throw line.
I think he'll be a career 35 minimum 3-point shooter.
If it's not higher, I would actually be disappointed. I mean, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, because he's shown in his career he's been an above average shooter.
Yep. 35%. That's not even NBA average.
No.
So
I just need him to be a threat, because if he's a threat, it opens up so much for him.
I know, but you need more than a threat from a second overall pick.
I mean,
no, there's no question about it. Like, he needs to be more than just a threat.
Like, would you say Otto Porter is a bust because he was a number 2 overall pick? And
Otto Porter also is one of the best shooters.
He is. But
and that's comparing two totally different players.
No,
and
I get it. But drafts. I get it. But I'm just saying, like, I think Lonzo
and Otto Porter was actually the 3rd overall pick.
Who's number 2? Who was number 2 that year then?
I don't know, but you can go look it up.
I thought it was him. Whatever. I'm just trying to say that.
Is that the Oladipo?
Okay. One? No, that was not. Or actually, I think it was the Oladipo one. Yeah. So Oladipo is a different story. I think that he is so good on defense that he just needs to be okay on offense to be a borderline all-star. maybe a sort of a hot take. Maybe I'm being a little ignorant on that.
Yeah, I think you are.
But
I'm not trying to take away from Lonzo. I've flipped on Lonzo. I think that he's going to be awesome. That said, when we're talking about him just being only a 35% 3-point shooter for his career, that is not going to cut it, in my opinion.
I think
if he shoots 35%, if you shoot 35% from three next year, that's awesome. That's a 5% jump. But 35% from his career as a guy that was supposed to be billed as a good shooter, despite the funky mechanics, yeah, no, that's.
I think another thing we have to think about 35%. That doesn't mean like there might be stretches in like 4-5 straight years that he shoots 37, or 38 or whatever, but just have like bad seasons in the beginning and the end of his career. Like I think I don't know what I was gonna say. I think Kobe is like a below average 3-point shooter for his whole career. I'm not comparing Lonzo to Kobe, but Kobe was perceived as a okay 3-point shooter, right? In his career.
I mean, I never thought of him as a really good 3-point shooter, but
no,
that's just me.
He shot a lot of them, but
yeah.
I mean, he held the record for most threes in a game for the longest time until Steph came around.
That's also doesn't mean a lot to me.
Whatever.
Who holds the record for most assists in a game?
It's I believe Scott Skiles.
It is, but
30 in the game.
I mean, yeah, but what exactly does that mean?
No, I'm just saying that Kobe shot a lot of threes, and I wasn't relating it to Lonzo. I was just saying that Kobe shot a lot of threes in general. That's all I'm saying. But anyway, whatever. You piss me off sometimes.
You're welcome.
You're giving me all.
I mean, like seriously. If I don't see how you can be happy with 35%.
So you will go out on a 35% 3-point shooter. You will go out to that person.
Yeah,
that's what.
But you also want a guy that is going to be better than a 35% free throw shooter or 3-point shooter. Honestly, I still think the free throw shooting is the bigger concern. But yeah, I mean, I don't understand how this is like even a debate. Like 35% is.
Let's move on.
The NBA average was like over 36% this year, so you're fine with the below average 3-point shooter. Wonderful.
Let's move on to Jordan Clarkson. He was part of the Larry Nance Jr. deal.
I was told that we had to give up a first-round pick to get rid of him.
I think he played less than 10 minutes today. He was not playable today against Oladipo and.
There were a lot of games where LA couldn't play him, but they had to.
Yeah. Yeah, he's been whatever in Cleveland. I mean, Larry's been better. I've always thought Larry was the better player. I even thought Larry was the best player in the deal.
Yeah.
But Jordan, I think his whole career, Jordan's going to be he needs to be an efficient scorer off the bench, and when he's not that, he gives you nothing.
Yep.
At all. And that's what he'll be for the rest of his career. I mean, I don't want to hate on the guy because he was part of the rebuild and he was part of the process, but I just think another thing, his fans acted like he was way better than he was.
Yeah.
There people thought he was going to be an all-star still.
Yeah.
Things going to be an all-star.
Yep. Like I remember people calling him Westbrook Light, and it always
shout out to Byron.
It always cracked me up.
Shout out to Byron for calling him Westbrook Light.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wish him the best, but he'll be a bench guard for the rest of his career.
Yep.
I'll never see him starting ever. But moving on to Canada's finest, Tyler Ennis. If he's on the roster next
all
year,
all I've got to say is that he shouldn't be in the NBA.
I will riot, and I'll angrily still watch Laker games. I'm not going to stop watching Laker games. But yeah, if it'll make me even more mad if he goes to a team next year and then all of a sudden he's this like serviceable player. Like you don't know that would piss me off way more than the next guy who is Corey Brewer. Like that would piss me off so much more because that guy made me want to pull my hair out anytime he was on the court. So good riddance. Corey Brewer, why are you hurting our chances for Paul George? I hate you for that. I don't know why you've been a really good rotation player, a really good bench player, even though he starts since he came to Oklahoma City. Like the numbers, he's been really good. He was, I mean, whenever he makes a corner three for the Thunder, then it just makes me want to just scream because he never did that for the Lakers. I think he only made like 9 threes for the Lakers, and he's probably like doubled or tripled that, or tripled or quadrupled that by now. Anyway, we waived him. He wanted to go to a team that was a contender, I guess, or he would actually play, and he's giving the Thunder what they need. Moving on to Brandon Ingram. His season was also shortened by injuries, but it was a very promising one when he did play. He was he was perfect for me in terms of progression. What would you give him as a grade on the year?
Personally,
I give him like a B plus.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. I mean, he still obviously has a lot of areas that he needs to improve in, but I thought he was fine. Probably. I mean, there were stretches where he was
above average NBA player this year.
No.
Was he an average NBA player this year?
I would say so.
Yeah, I think he was. I think last year you could argue he was a guy who he's not play. He was not playable in a playoff series. I think this year he is playable in a playoff series.
Yeah,
that's sort of how I gauge guys like that. I think he would be a guy who right now on a good team would get 10 to 15 minutes in the playoffs. Obviously he wouldn't. If Lakers were in the playoffs, he'd be playing 30 minutes a game. But and on a good team, this version of Ingram is a guy that you can give minutes to.
Yeah, I agree.
What do you think his biggest improvement needs to be?
I would continue to say shooting.
I think he needs to shoot it more. I think that's the thing.
Yeah, he needs to be able to be able to be more of a threat more from three, because he shot well. I think he actually got up to like 36%.
39. He's at 39 right now.
Get out of here. That's great. Only on 1.8 attempts per game. But if he shot 39% on we'll go with like Josh Hart. If he shoots like Josh Hart did this year, so Josh Hart made 1.2 on 3.1 attempts.
I'm pretty much 40 a game.
Yeah, it was 39.6, so almost 40. I would sing to the high heavens and I'd be so happy.
If he's shooting that as many as Josh Hart did, then yeah, that guy's gonna be a star. Like if he's doing that, 100%.
Yep. I mean, I would actually prefer more it to be like Brook at 4.4, but I mean, I would be fine with what a Josh Hart number, like
of 3-pointers.
Yeah. 100%. Like you could bring it down just a tad to like say 3.1 on like 37%. I'd be happy with that too. But yeah.
I think for me, it's his ball handling. I think he lost it a little bit more than he probably should this year. It got better. I think he's improving on it more. I think ball handling is the thing that you can easily improve.
I agree. The one caveat that I throw with that is he's also like almost 7 feet tall.
Well, yeah, he can just go over guys. But
so I mean, it's just, and they relied on him. He literally was starting as a point guard.
Oh yeah, no, I know, but like
no, I know. I'm just I agree that there's tons of areas he can still improve on. Defense, he was much better. He was close to average on defense. It stretches where he was better than average. He needs to continue to show the ability to stretch the floor. He needs to be able to handle the ball better. He also needs to just be a better rebounder.
He before he got hurt, he was really good at rebounding the ball.
Yeah, I'm just saying that it's just an area that needs to continue to improve.
No, I know.
So,
like that stretch that he had when and was it February or March? He had a month where he went almost 25-5. 20-5-5, you know. And
I'll look it up. But he also needs to improve his free throw shooting. It's only at 68%.
I don't believe him that whenever he ever made, like, he never missed a free throw in high school. Remember that?
Yeah, that was a lot of nonsense.
And then like his first game, he missed like 5 of them.
Yeah, and no way. I'm looking it up. You said February.
It was February and March. He had a month where it was whenever Lonzo was down and he had to play point guard.
I mean, there might have been a stretch, but in February he was 18.6 on 62.1% shooting percentage.
Oh man!
He's not going to shoot 52% from three.
But if he also a little bit of a shortened month because of also break.
It was but still 10 games. That's a decent amount. And then per game, there's not a per game average of assists and rebounds, but it was like 18.5. Right, that's what I said. Yeah, 18.6, and then a little like 5.2 assists or rebounds and 5.6 assists. So yeah, if next year. I mean, like the Lakers might have just been a year, or Magic Johnson might have just been a year early in his 20 point per game.
Yeah.
So
I take back being really mad about him saying that because I mean it's just him putting confidence in.
I thought that he said it too early. I've always been super.
I thought I didn't think he. Yeah. I thought it was too early. I never thought that. I thought he would be a 20 point per game scorer eventually. I think the thing I'm most impressed with him though it was his passing when he was a point guard because he's definitely an above average passer for his position.
I agree.
I think he's like I think he has the same sort of vision as Giannis. I don't think Giannis is a great passer. He doesn't have great vision per se, but he is able to find guys and because people are crowding him, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean he puts up I think 4 or 5 assists per game. I think that's what Brandon. I think he might be able to.
Brandon was at 3.9, so he was essentially at 4 this year.
I think Brandon can average a tad more at his peak, like maybe 5 or 6, maybe 6 or 7.
I would say I would be more than happy if he got to 5.5. If he got to like 7 rebounds, 5.5 assists, and like
20 points per game,
even like 19 points a game, you're looking at a guy that's incredibly, incredibly valuable.
Yeah, and then add his contribution on defense as well. I mean, that could be an all-star player depending on the team's. How good the team is, and like what the rest of the guys, their points look and stuff look like. So, we're very excited about Brandon, and I'm really excited to see what he does next year. It's gonna be, I'm pumped about him. Moving on to probably the second or third biggest steal in this draft in Josh Hart. I'm going to start off by saying this. I would give him an A on the year. He 100% exceeded my expectations. He was absolutely incredible for he went over what I thought he was going to be, and I think he can get better too.
I give him a B plus. I was super high on him to begin with, so like everything he did wasn't honestly a huge surprise to me. I mean, he shot from 3 better than I thought he would. Mm-hmm. I figured it'd be more like 36 or 37%.
I thought he couldn't shoot.
But yeah, shout out to the people that said that he couldn't shoot. That was so stupid. He does. I mean, like almost the entire team needs to improve their free throw shooting. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of the main thing that I dinged him on was that I figured he'd be closer to like at least 75 instead of 70. Mm-hmm. But good rebounder.
Great rebounder.
Yeah, I wish that he found more assists. That said,
that is something that he said that he's definitely trying to improve because he said
one of the best things I haven't gotten to see all the exit interviews because I've been swamped.
Yeah.
That said, from what I've seen, pretty much from people commenting on the exit interviews, it sounds like the guys are cognizant or they are self-aware of what they need to improve, which is awesome.
Yeah,
it is awesome. They are not
everything the guys that we care about said that they needed to improve on. It's what we think they need to improve on, which is great.
Yep.
Or that shows that Magic and Luke and Pelinka are really figuring this out, or seeing these things and telling the guys that too, which is awesome either way. What do you think he needs to improve on the most? I think it's again this vision, especially in transition.
I would disagree. I think it's ball handling.
I think on a team like the Lake, obviously I'd love it if he became a better ball handler.
The
But
reason why
I
I say
think
ball handler is because that's going to open up everything else. Like you become a better ball handler, I think he's going to be able to get better vision from it just because he'll be able to navigate himself better.
If he can carry himself like he did the last 5 games of the season,
yes,
that would be absolutely incredible. You know,
I have been saying that he is a potential starter, and
I think he's already almost there. You know,
yeah, I think the 3-and-D label doesn't give him enough. I think that he could potentially be that 3-and-D plus.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not saying that Josh Hart is going to be a star.
Right.
I think that he's going to be an elite role player, though. Which the value that he's going to bring, the value that he brought this year is insane. So he's a guy that I would have a hard time giving up in
trades
in most deals. Obviously, like if it was Kawhi, you do that.
I mean, yes, but there's some caveat to have with that. But we can talk about it at another time. But I think that the final, he was 1 of 4 rookies this year to have 4 straight games of 20+ points. The other one being, on his team in Kyle Kuzma. And if he can carry himself like that, I saw flashes of a pull-up jumper off the dribble, which is
that's
very, very intriguing. If he has that, he's a dangerous role player, man. The thing that I saw that most impressed me, numbers wise, Tim or Crandus McBasketball posted something on him as a ball handler in transition as a scorer was something in like the 90
I think it was like 92nd percentile.
Absolutely absurd. But the funny thing is that translates to the eye test. Like you can definitely understand that, but it's mind-boggling to think he's that good in transition as a scorer. He's one of the better finishers in the league too, I feel like, because he makes some tough shots after him.
Love that guy.
If he can attack closeouts and have a mid-range jumper, that would be absolutely awesome. Like that's like ideal, But yeah, I'm really excited to see a potential starter next year for the Lakers, depending on who we get. But yeah, the sky's the limit for Josh as well. Moving on, Brook Lopez, who had a very solid season, and I think both of our opinions. He was a way better defender than I was expecting, especially on switches. He was really good. Not really good. He was good. He was good in space, better than I was expecting from a guy that looks like him and a guy that is sort of who seems like he would be just like bumbling around and just be like a slow-footed big. But he wasn't. I mean, he was able to carry himself and figure out how to defend in space. I think it is a big reason why the Lakers defense was at 12th this year on the defensive efficiency. His shot was great to have. He shot 34.5% from 3 on 44%. And I think he had a stretch or two where he was really bad from 3. But he's a guy that I'm 100% wanting to keep this year. And I think he's sort of our placeholder until we find that guy. And I think he will be on the roster next year. That's what I think.
I hope so. There's not a guy available that is an upgrade on him.
No, not at all.
I mean, the only guy people could really argue that is Boogie, but I'm going to say no to that because of that Achilles injury.
Plus, I think the way the Pelicans are playing right now, I don't see how he says no to them.
Yeah.
But he's the only guy. He's the guy that we have until we draft our big of the future, or maybe Thomas Bryant develops into it, or maybe we get Anthony Davis and he plays 5 for us. I think he'll be the guy that'll be there, and I think he's fine with that. He even said during exit interviews that if Lakers can,
essentially work something out,
if the Lakers can get to contention in the offseason, then he'll take a huge pay cut to be with the team.
Yeah,
I just think he wants.
He's gonna have to take a huge pay cut anyways because no one is gonna pay him $22 million.
No one's gonna pay him that much. I think someone might offer him like $12 million.
And I think that's totally fair for him.
Yeah, I still think the Warriors try to get him. I think it's a perfect fit with him. But I
just don't know how they're gonna honestly do that. I mean, I guess they should have the mid-level exception,
Yeah.
but yeah,
I just think he made too much sense on that team, you know?
yeah. I mean, but also listening to like Warriors fans, they hint more at a guy like Channing Frye than they do at a guy like Brook Lopez.
Because the Warriors want to just not pay as much for those guys.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't see many. I don't think there really is any team that will offer him a multi-year deal. Maybe 2 with like a team option of the second year. I think that's what Lakers should do. They should look to do that with a team option. He can still play. He was a good player this year for us. He was a very important player for the Lakers in the whole thing. He played over 70 games. He was one of 4 guys that played 70 plus games this year, which is huge.
Yeah.
So I hope he's back. I think he will be back. I'm like 70% confident that he'll be a Lakers still next year. And it's funny to think about that because we were like hating on him to start the season, and he's just kind of grown into sort of a fanish favorite, you know. Moving on to Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, he's another guy that changed our from the beginning of the season till now. I can't remember off the top of my head, but obviously he had the prison sentence for a month. He was terrible in that he was shooting under 30% from 3. Before that, he started off slow, but before that he shot around 36% from 3. But after he came back, he was really good.
Yeah,
he's over 40% from 3. He was making the reads. He was, playing solid defense. He was running in transition. He was the perfect 2 guard, Now the question being, do you think KCP is back in a Laker uniform next year?
Man, I say no.
I think a team's going to offer him money.
Yeah, I think so.
Because he's been
I don't
good.
know who. I guess I could see a team like Atlanta give him some money. We've kind of talked about that, the Georgia connection, everything like that.
The hometown, yeah.
I wouldn't have a problem bringing him back, but
yeah,
he's also not a priority.
And also kind of redundant because I think Hart brings the same thing as him.
Yeah, and they kind of talked about it on the Laker Film Room pod. I think that he had a good season.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, he turned it around. I just don't think he's not good enough to make a priority.
No, he's a guy that you go back if you strike out. And even then, Josh Hart might be able to fill that role.
Yeah, and even with Hart, I'd have no problem bringing KCP back. It's just him having to know, like, hey, you don't have a green light all the time.
Yeah.
And you're not going to make $18.5 million or whatever. And you might not even be a starter. You're going to actually have to compete for that spot. I'd have no problem saying all of that.
Mm-hmm.
If he wants to still come, then awesome. I mean, give me all the wings.
Yeah, give me all the wings who are athletic and long and can shoot the 3.
He's not really that long, but
who's athletic and can shoot 3s.
Yeah.
And if you look at his numbers compared to KCP or to Josh Hart's numbers starting, they're very similar.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm gonna bring up Josh's right now, but I know for sure that he averaged over 13 a game when he started Josh Hart. Let me find this split real fast. And I know he shot really well from 3. Obviously, the whole season he shot really well from 3. But as a starter, he scored 13.3 points per game, 6 rebounds, 62.4 true shooting percentage, and shot 42% from 3.
Mm-hmm.
And 23 games started. Now, I mean, KCP has pretty much those same numbers, and also Josh with a plus 11 in that span as well. But like you said, he's not a priority. KCP, if he wants to come back, that'd be great. I would love for him to come back. But you can find guys like him in the draft. You can find guys like him in free agency. He's not a guy that he's not a guy like Julius who you can't really find another one of, or are you not as often? You won't be able to find another one of. Moving on to Kyle Kuzma, who played the second most games on the team. He absolutely the number one steal in the draft. Would you agree?
Donovan Mitchell.
I still think there's sort of a expectation with a lottery pick.
I get that, but I mean, there's also debate now that he could be like the second best player from the draft.
Or I think he
or even first. So that's the reason why I say that Kuzma would be a close second. I mean, I think anyone that you're not in the top 10 and you're potentially the best player in a draft, yeah, I think that's the biggest still. But I mean, in a redraft, I think like Kuzma would probably go like
top 10. I still think he goes top 10.
Yeah, I think now. I think after everything, yeah, I think he'd probably go like 8, 7, 8, 9, 10, something like that.
Yeah, I think so too. He had a huge season for the Lakers. It's to the point where local media and ESPN think he's the best young guy on the team. We need to slow down.
Wrong. It's wrong. He's very good.
He's very good.
He is not the best player on.
He's still the fourth best young player on the team to me.
Yep.
And it's not, and I don't even think that's a slight to him. I think that it shows how much young talent we have. You know.
Yep.
He was a good player this year. He was awesome on offense. I mean, we can that was his bread and butter. He shot 36.6 or 37% from three on about almost 6 attempts per game at 5.6. That's incredible efficiency for a rookie with that many 3-pointers, you know? And I mean,
he was quite good.
He was really good on offense. He showed a lot of versatility, scoring the ball wise. He had that sweeping hook shot, which was like that. That's not even a gimmick with him now. It's like that is a shot that he is probably going to make 8 times out of 10. You know, I wish I saw the numbers on his hook shot number, like the percentage of it, and I guess it's like 70+% because he was really good at it this year and he shot it a lot. He showed some ability to attack closeouts. He showed some ability to finish. He started the season off really well finishing the ball. He cooled down as the season went on, but he had some really crazy touch. He flashed a little bit of playmaking vision. He didn't show it that often, but he flashed it enough to the point where I think he can get 2-3 assists per game in some time in his career. Defense, he was bad, but he improved, which was good to see. And even though he was bad, he has quick feet, and he's able to switch, which is always important, especially with the Lakers' way they play defense. So, with all that said, what would you grade Kyle Kuzma this season?
Let's say like an A-.
Yeah, I think just because of expectation to what he is.
Yeah, I mean, I'd borderline on the A. I mean, his offense. There was times where he was the only guy that could get a basket for LA.
Yeah.
That said, his offense is not perfect.
No, it's not. He still needs some pull-up game.
He needs pull-up game. He needs handles. He needs this. He needs that. He still needs to improve his free throw shooting, and it's only at 70%. Like everyone.
Yeah, I'm confident
he's a good 3-point shooter. He's about NBA average right now. I think that goes up.
Yeah. Do you think he's a 40+% shooter from 3?
Next year, I would say no. I would say next year he's probably 39. Okay, I guess the question is like, because he takes like a lot of heat checks, a lot of heat checks.
I wish there were numbers to like.
I know. I don't know
how many heat checks.
No idea how to find that. Maybe Cran we can bring him on and he could maybe tell us that. I would love to know that, like those 1 last second chucks and 2 like heat checks, because I bet he's probably close to like 39% if you take those types of shots away.
You know what? You keep talking about Kuzma. I'm gonna see if I can find his catch and shoot percentage. I'm going to.
Okay, so like if anyone actually saw from our old podcast my reactions to the Kuzma pick. You all know I did not like it. I think every time we've had a podcast, I've apologized for that.
Yeah. Anytime we talk about Kyle Kuzma.
Yeah, I just have to just put my head down and say I'm sorry. But yeah, he was really good on offense. He even showed the ability to play a lot of three, which
that's a big thing.
As we've talked about, yeah, it could potentially allow us to pick another 3-4.
Yeah, or 4-5, obviously.
Yeah, I still would probably prefer 2-3. But that said, it just adds more value and potential. I still say he's not the best prospect on the Lakers. I don't really understand how people say that. I guess maybe because he's flashy. And obviously he's a good shooter. But yeah, the defensive side of the court is pretty bad.
Yeah.
His rebounding is pretty solid. But and he's got good vision, but there are a lot of times where he doesn't make passes that he should make.
Yeah.
And I still have questions about his like block and steal rate and stuff like that. Like he's got quick hands.
Yeah.
I think an off season with the Lakers will do him wonders, because get that Utah system out of him.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's definitely a very, very nice piece to have.
Yeah. So his 3-point percentage catch and shoot is 37.5.
That's actually lower than I expected, but it's still good.
Yeah, he shot 4.6 a game and he made 1.7 of those. But again, I mean, you can actually you can't have catch and shoot like he checks, can you?
Yeah.
Unless you're like Steph and he launches it from like almost half court, but but yeah, he's a nice piece to have. Not the best prospect, probably not a top 3 prospect, and but he's still a rotation player at the very least.
Yeah, and I mean, if they don't sign Julius, which would just be a travesty, he automatically goes in the starting lineup.
And you hope to God that, I think if that does happen, you could go out and get a rim protecting big.
Yeah,
because Kuz gets that the shooting down, but yeah, let's not think about life without Julius. Let's talk about Julius. Played all 82 games, which was very commendable considering the roster this year and how many injuries they had.
That and some of the playing,
the way he plays, it's super violent.
Well, I mean, just like how he didn't always, like at the beginning of the year, his minutes were up and down. That's what I was meaning.
Oh yeah, that too. But and that plus considering he never really got hurt, which again, the way he plays, he's a really violent driver, and he's a guy that hustles really, really hard. Obviously he had like little like nicks, like he got kind of hurt, but he was always able to play through it. It was really, really nice to have him play all 82 games. He was far and away, maybe not far and away, he was the best player on the Lakers this year. Yeah. We can both agree to that. Yep. And I would assume we both give him an A on the year, correct?
Yeah.
I think he was their best player. I think he was at times a top like 8 power forward in the league.
I mean, he
played borderline all-star.
There were multiple people saying, I saw at least 3 people say that he was playing at a
all-star level,
top 20 player in the NBA level for one of the months. I can't remember exactly which, but he was good. Like he was better. Like he was better than Blake Griffin last year, in my opinion.
I would agree to that.
It was just the name quantity. I mean, or quality. Like, don't get me wrong, Blake is and was good, and he was very important to the Clippers. But yeah, I just think that Julius provided more. Maybe I'm crazy, but
I think he was definitely better on defense, in my opinion.
oh yeah, for sure.
If were you able to watch Pete's Julius year in review thing?
Not been able to. I've heard it's excellent though.
Oh yeah, it was really good. It just made me appreciate Julius a lot more. I think he had a number there that he was 65th percentile on points per possession in isolations, which is amazing to me because
offense or defense.
Him on switches, defending on switches, I should say.
Oh, okay, so
he by far guarded the most switches in the league. I haven't seen the numbers since, but I remember sometime in the middle of the season he was easily number one in the league in switches defended, and he, if anything, he probably defended more switches since then. And to be 65th percentile, to be an above average point per possession when you consistently guarded some of the best players in the league on switches is nothing short of incredible.
I agree.
I mean, I always bring this game up because it's like the peak Julius isolation defense moment. When the Warriors game, back-to-back possessions, he locked down Steph and KD.
Yep.
Two of the top three players in the NBA. And he also defended LeBron pretty well, too, when they played the Cavs in Los Angeles. And I think that if in the future, as Lakers play a guy like LeBron, a big guy like that, or like a Ben Simmons or Giannis, you put Julius on him. Because I think he'd be the best guy there. He was really good on post-up defense. I don't know the number off the top of my head exactly, but I know it was above a 60th percentile. It might have been higher than that. His defense just overall, it just completely improved. I think that's the biggest reason why we're talking about him like we do, I think. Right?
I mean, his offense improved too.
It improved, but
his defense was just really good. His defense
went to unsalvageable to above average in one season because he got his body right. And Magic Johnson brought that up in their exit interviews. He said he wants more guys to look at what Julius did and model what their offseason after that. And I 100% agree because a lot of the guys need to get their body right.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Ingram, Lonzo, Thomas Bryant, Kuzma to a certain extent. Because I mean, he's fit obviously, but he's not up to Julius's level. I don't think anyone is. Julius looks like a tank. He is a tank. I mean, he's the same height and weight as LeBron.
Yep.
Which is he's an absolute freight train going down there. If you want to look it up, look at his numbers at the rim. I know it probably went down a little bit, but he was so good during the season that it's probably still above 70% from 0 to 3 feet. He was one of the best in the league at that, finishing around the rim.
By distance from 0 to 3 feet, he was at 72.8, so 73%.
That's absurd.
Yep, he was good.
He was good. So assuming Julius is on the team next year, well, first of all, how confident are we that Julius is a Laker next year?
Crap. 75%.
Yeah, I'm probably at 75, 80. I'm very confident, especially with the way free agency is starting to look, sort of. I'm a little less confident in Paul George, even though I still think there's a good chance we get him, just because of his play recently and his comments. Even though I still think it's a lot of nonsense with his comments because he's been saying the same shit the whole year. I think it's ultimately going to come down to his family, and that's why I think the Lakers get him. But I think Julius is the Lakers' most important free agent, even compared to LeBron and PG, because I think it sets a standard if the Lakers re-sign him. Because the Lakers always talk about wanting guys who bleed purple and gold, who will do anything for their team, are great teammates. And if that's not Julius, then I don't know what is, all his teammates love him. Remember back when there was like rumors that teammates were getting annoyed with Julius during the year? Remember that?
No, I don't.
There were people saying that Julius and the teammates didn't get along, and that's why he hasn't been playing much or something like that.
Oh, at the very beginning of the year.
At the very beginning.
I remember all the nonsense.
It's night and day. honestly.
And people are reading into comments and everything. As people do all the time.
Mhm.
He wants to be back.
Mhm.
I think he's back.
Mhm.
It would be a mistake if he's not back.
Right. So, assuming he is back, what do you think? What do you want him to improve on the most coming into next season? Shooting. I agree. I think. Where? From where?
Deep.
All right.
I don't really give a crap about the mid range.
I don't either. But
I mean, like I understand that that would bring, help. Period. But like I would just much rather him shoot from three. I mean, like he shot 20 according to people reference from 16 to just inside the 3-point line. He shot 25%, and from three he shot 22%. So I just much rather.
What's the percentage, or what's the how often did he shoot those shots?
He shot like a combined 10% of his shots.
Yeah, and then how many were in the paint? For
in the paint. So 0. Well, I mean, 0 to 3 was 54.5.
Yeah,
and then 3 to 10 was 31.5.
Yeah, he lived down there.
3 to 10. From 3 to 10, he only shot 38.9.
Yeah,
interesting. But
another thing that Pete brought up in terms of Julius and his lack of jumper is that he does what Giannis and Ben Simmons and sometimes Markelle Fultz do.
Mm-hmm.
That they use the space that they're given to do spin moves or to just ram into the guy. And Julius had a really effective spin move this year. Same with his drop step going to the basket. Those were his two go-to moves. I also think that the right hand argument is one that needs to die, because you're never going to tell a right shooting player to improve on their left.
I know that one's always such a dumb thing. You only notice it because
he's a lefty.
But I mean, if you look at it, Brandon Ingram is more rely on his right than Julius is on his left. So exactly. It's just, I understand because they're actually then going against the strong hand for a left-handed person, but. Yeah, I think it's just so overblown.
Yeah, shooting and more improved decision making are the two things. I think I think those are the only two things he needs to not perfect, but get decent at, and he'll be an all-star in my opinion.
Quite possibly.
I think he could be next year, depending on what the record is and who we have on the team, and But all right, that was the whole team right there. Moving on to Coach Luke Walton, the guy who's going to get fired for Fizdale, right? Am I doing that right?
I believe so.
Okay. What grade would you give Luke Walton?
I'd say a B+.
I would also give him a B+. What were you most impressed on his improvement this year? Like what part of his coaching game?
I mean, just getting the defense so good. Yeah. I mean, they went from a bottom 2.
They were like 29th, I think, or 30th.
Yeah, so bottom 2 to now. I think they finished the year at like 12 or 13.
12? It was 12.
Yeah, and they hovered in the top 10 for.
Yeah, they were top 10 for a while. And I'm pretty sure. I mean, that's 12th with the injuries. Mm-hmm. With two of our best defensive players out for 30 games this year.
Yep.
Yep. That's absurd. I mean, imagine adding a guy like Paul George, who is let's say top 10 defender in the league, right?
Mm-hmm.
Imagine adding that to Lonzo and Ingram and Julius and Brooke. That's potentially a top 8 defense in the league. Mm-hmm. Like, am I wrong?
No, I think you're right.
I think the thing that stood out the most for me, and I know it's a little thing, but and I don't even know if he really improved on this, but his out of timeouts or sideline out of bounds plays were awesome. Like they're near Brad Stevens levels of good. Like he always got a a good shot for whoever he was trying to get the shot for, and he was really good at that. The defense he definitely improved on. I think over time he improved on his rotations, which is good. It's growth, and I think the more he coaches, the more he'll finally figure out how to use guys in the right places and where to use them, how much to play them, and so on and so forth. Where do you think the area needs to improve on the most?
Well, one, I think he needs to continue to improve the coaching staff.
Yes, I agree.
That is his responsibility. The area most needs to improve. I guess it would just be sorry, I'm blanking. I'm tired. I guess just kind of like the minutes.
Yeah. Well,
because just like Julius, we've been talking about how awesome he's been, and Julius also got like, of anyone that played like over 50 games, I believe he was like number 5 in minutes. Like, that's an issue.
Yeah.
So
I think
he's working on that.
I do think he played over 30 for the whole 2018, which was definitely an improvement. And obviously it's because he started. But it was like barely 30, which is, I think, is a little note to. I think he needs to be playing 32 to 34 a game, Julius. But yeah, generally, I mean, he's been would you say he's been an above average coach? Was he an above average coach this year?
If he's not, I would say that he's bordering on that.
Yeah, I think this year, we talked about this a podcast or two ago where we rank him in the current coaches. I think we had him top 15, right? I want to say we had him top 15.
So, like, for coaches in the playoffs right now, I would take him over
Prunty,
Tibbs.
Obviously. Oh, that Tibbs, yeah, and Prunty, obviously.
Yeah, Prunty, the interim coach for the Bucks.
Yeah, yeah. Trying to think of other teams. Would you say over Scott Brooks?
Yeah,
I think I would too.
I would take him over Gentry too.
I think
Gentry has worked or has been much better this year, but I
there's a lot of AD was awesome and Drew was awesome.
I think that I have him a little bit ahead of.
Yeah, and I think motivating the team is a big factor in that too, because I think he did the best he could with the roster he had, and there are a lot of times where potentially the locker room could have spiraled. KCP and the whole prison thing. Isaiah coming in and saying that he's not going to come off the bench, right? Brook Lopez when he was upset about the minutes and his role or whatever like that, right? And he figured it out. Like, he figured out a way to improve it. That's very Popovichian of him. To
shout out to Pops.
Yeah, shout out to Pop.
Feel bad for him, man. Keep him, and I believe he has kids, right?
He has 2 kids and 2 grandchildren.
Yeah, keep them in their prayers after Pops lost his wife.
Yeah, that's definitely a shock. A side note on that, actually, I don't like what the media has been doing with it at all.
A reaction from the players.
I mean, they got one of KD, and he was like, that was genuine. Like, he was in shock. LeBron was in borderline tears.
Well, come to find out, Braun knew. I was just on Twitter a little bit ago, and
how would Braun know? It was in the middle of the game, though.
I don't know. Someone must have told him, because he later said that he knew. So.
Really? I don't know. Someone must have told him at halftime or something. Then, but it just let them find out on their own. Let them deal with it on their own. Let Pop mourn on his own. I'm expecting a lot of media people to be asking a shit ton of questions tomorrow, which is not going to look good. If I was Pop, I would, or if I was the media, I would say, we're not going to ask you any questions on it. I just want to say sorry for your loss. That's what they should do. That's not going to happen. The publishers are going to ask them to ask more questions, and whatever, it's gonna happen. Like people are blaming like Ali LaForce was the one that asked LeBron or told LeBron, and people were like shit talking her, and there's no way she's the one that came up with it to ask him. You know, the TNT people asked her to do it. But anyway, rant aside, Luke has been good this year. I am expecting improvement next year. I think he won't be fired. I think Magic has shown said a lot as of late that he's like, no, he's not leaving. He said something like, I'll look forward to working with you for years to come. I'm not worried about Luke at all, as much as some people were during the season. Moving on to the front office with Magic and Pelinka. What would you give them a grade this year?
Considering that they've been on the job now for over a year, right?
Like 14 months, yeah.
I would say I'd give them like an A-, B+ or something like that. They shed, they of course we're still a fan of D'Angelo, but they did shed that Mozgov contract. They were able to shed the JC contract. Yeah, they had to give up Nance for it, but
it obviously worked out.
It worked out. And the Lakers got a first-round pick. The only reason I would give them one of the best overall drafts in years.
Yeah.
And we have no idea still yet what TB can be. I mean, I would probably put most of that on the scouting department, but still trusting, like
Kuz, you know.
Yeah, but I mean, like trusting your scouting department is also important.
Definitely.
That trade. Really, the only things that like I could really complain about would be Tyler Ennis, of course.
I think besides Caruso, I didn't really like the smaller guys they got. Travis Ware too, but
Travis Ware was a decent one.
Gary Payton was very meh. You know, Vanderbilt was extremely meh.
That was just weird. They tried Nigel Hayes. That was a good one, and then he just didn't turn out. That was fine.
Yeah.
Derek Williams, that was kind of dumb.
Yeah.
Trying to think.
Keeping Tyler Ennis, unless it turns out to be a long con with Ennis.
The one with Ennis is, I think it was Ralph who said, and also Nas have both said that it could be like a trade salary ballast.
Yeah, he has a non-guaranteed for next year.
Yeah. So, but like the bottom of the roster was really the issue. Like, why'd you bring in Andrew Bogut?
Yep.
You know, why Tyler Ennis?
Why Tyler Ennis?
Yeah. Gary Payton the second, like I still like him, but he just hasn't been great. I liked the idea. They did miss out on people. But really the biggest thing was you had Vander Blue, like that was stupid.
Yeah, the biggest thing is this coming into this season with Tyler Ennis as their backup.
Yeah, and like they went what, a month or a little longer without having anyone in that 15th spot. I mean, they literally could have given that spot to Andre Egram, you know, a month before.
I mean, or like Trey Burke or guys like that, you know.
So that's really my main thing. But excuse me, the majority of the stuff I thought it was good.
That podcast 14 months ago where we were acting like we were at a funeral and we were all depressed. That seemed like years ago.
Yeah, I mean they still have to come through and
yes, obviously, but they've done.
But that said, with how really good the young core is, it's also not as big of an issue.
Also, trading away the right young core.
Yeah,
as much as I love D'Angelo,
he was the guy to trade. Yeah, not giving up Randall
and Ingram.
I mean, even though they might have offered for PG, you might have both coming up. Not giving up, Ingram for who knows what. You know, the future is bright, despite early upset podcasts about stuff.
You guys I was the only optimistic one, and you guys were just trying to beat me down.
I mean, well,
Beat me
because like
down.
it was
It
honestly not a good start.
it looked bad.
And like you did not really have a GM search. You just kind of hired, and Palinka has turned into a pretty decent GM. But
I
like
think yeah,
you
he's
hired Kobe's agent, like that still is just like
you sound
amazing.
like a certain Laker blogger, but we're not gonna go that far.
I don't remember. I don't know who you're talking about.
You have no idea, really.
I know who
Yeah.
you're talking about. But I mean, like
Mentality, baby.
that was always a weird one. But I mean,
Yeah.
he's turned out to be a good hiring.
Yeah. So
But they just now, in order to get that A or I mean, they got an A, but like that A plus, they got to get a free agent.
A plus, they have to get PG. I will still be happy if they just don't trade their guys away, let guys walk, and don't give up stupid contracts.
Yeah.
If they go on next season with pretty much the same roster, Julius is back on a multi-year deal. I would say it's still it's not an unsuccessful offseason.
Yep.
An unsuccessful offseason would be chasing after LeBron, not getting Julius.
Yep.
At that point, I would be extremely angry, and that's when I would rant on here. And I will have so many words against them.
Yeah.
But yeah, so far so good. They haven't given me a reason to not be confident. I'm more confident now. I enjoy Palinka and what he seems to be doing. Like this, they seem to be being pushed into the future, and they're not staying the old times like Mitch did. Also, good luck to Mitch in Charlotte. A couple other questions I want to ask. They're not stat ones, but I just want it was sort of like a year in review type thing. On the spot, what was your favorite game of the year? Mine was the win against the Nuggets at home. That was mine.
I get one of my favorite pictures, I guess I'll just kind of go with that, is Isaiah looking back at Jokic with that like face, you know. You know, if I'm gonna go for like favorite other moment and like game or whatever, was the win against Philly when Ingram hit that three to
that was a good one. The Kuzma game was also against Boston was also a really good one, and then also the Lonzo Spurs one was also a good one too.
And Julius Cavs.
Oh, Julius Cavs. Yeah, those are probably the quintessential best games. It was Ingram against the Warriors when he put up a career high. There was Kuzma against Boston, Julius against the Cavs, and Lonzo against the Spurs. And I think that is it. Yeah, I'm gonna end that right there. So thank you for sort of sticking with us through the season. I know it's sort of been a inconsistent season, but I think we're starting to get back on track with everything. We have a new blog. We launched it on when we launched it.
We launched it on Monday.
We launched it on Monday. We have some pieces up there. We have a piece about Paul George free agency. We have one on Jalen Brunson scouting report, and we have another one on Isaiah Thomas and if we should keep him. We have a couple more on the way. We'll have a Mario Hezonja one coming on the way from Clayton. Season interview. I'll work on myself. I'm sorry for procrastinating. I'm in my head about this whole thing, but I'll have either a Julius one or a Jacob Evans one, and then we have a couple of some other writers who I'm sure will come up with some stuff sooner or later.
We're glad to finally have a place to have that form of medium again.
Yeah, it's been a while. It's been a year. Has it been longer than a year? Has it been shorter than a year? Since the fall?
It's been about 9 months, give or take.
Got it. But yeah, I'm happy to have finally launched it. I will beat my. I'm gonna write. It's gonna happen. I'm just not gonna. I'm in my head about it.
Yeah.
Shut the fuck up. And I think that's it. Again, I think we're gonna have another
You could
podcast
find
soon.
that, by the way, before he buries that.
I'm not gonna bury it. I had more stuff going. I was in
sure. Shout out to underthebus.net.
I thought you're supposed to host this. So
yeah, well, I'm halfway falling asleep. I've been up for like 19 hours now.
That's great, man.
Actually,
anyway,
longer now, man.
Anyway, again, yes, you can find the blog at underthebus.net. You can find the podcast on iTunes. You can find us on SoundCloud, Stitcher, Google Play Music. You can follow me at Merge Christian. You can follow Clayton at Ligger 1949. You can follow the podcast and the blog, Twitter at Under the Bus Pod. And I think that is it. Clayton, have anything else you want to plug or?
No, just watch out for the Mario Hazonia piece either technically today, I guess. It would like 4/19/2018. Yes. Maybe it might be the next day. I'm so far pretty happy with our team of writers.
Yeah, for sure.
And if anyone listens and they have suggestions that they would like us to either talk about on here or write about on the site, just there's a contact at the bottom of the page on any of the pages. Just go ahead and either send us an email or
I believe the DMs are open, so if you want to DM that,
hit us up in the DMs or in the mentions. It doesn't matter. All right. Just if you want something, let us know and we'll try and make it happen.
And there is our spiel. That's it. Finally, let's. Anyway, thanks for joining us, guys. And this is Clayton here and Merge signing out. We'll see you guys later. Peace.
Bye.